Hello, Frank again. Doing some readings from Douglas Jerrod, Chapter 3. Got a lot to clear here, so I'll move over so there's not so much through the window. Now we're going into the green-eyed section of the reading, the grandson section. Green-eyed. Chapter 3. Grandson Douglas's View. Douglas Jerrod Jr. came out of his foggy, delusional haze to find himself standing in the doorway to his office at the precinct. What the hell was that? It seemed like I was here with my person the whole time, but that I was a passenger in my own mind. He wondered to himself as he gained control of his body once again. While he stood there wondering about the incident that just took place, a gentleman in a sharp, slick black suit with an officer's badge that hung from the left breast pocket of the suit approached him from behind. "How are you doing today, Doug? Is your morning going good?" the man asked in polite conversation before taking another sip of his coffee cup. Douglas jumped a little inside himself as the man broke his train of thought and startled him with the questions. He turned slowly to address the friendly individual that was interested with his morning's events. As he met face to face with the man, he noticed that it was his good friend Charles Murphy. Of course, Charles would be interested to hear about his morning, even if it was just a polite conversational opener. "Damn it, Murphy! You need to warn someone before you just sneak up and ask random questions." "Sorry, buddy. I take it you're having a rough go of things today?" "No, not really. Just a weird way to start my day." "Did you want to talk about it with me? It might help you to get another perspective on the matter." "No, it is a little more than I was cut off in traffic or I didn't have matching socks. It is more of a psyche thing. I think I will go and talk to the doc about this one, but thanks anyway." "Well, if you need me, you know where I am. But if you are going to talk to Dr. Scott, you should make it quick. We have that briefing at 11. "It is probably nothing. It shouldn't take long." Douglas placed his hands on Charles's shoulder as he walked casually past and towards the doc's office. He made his way through the many detectives that riddled the floor of the precinct. Gliding while he walked, he reached the door of the psychologist on his floor. While he reached for the doorknob, he knocked once and opened the door. "Wayne, do you have a moment? I have an issue that I think is right up your alley." "Officer Jerrod, I guess I could make some time for you now, but in the future, could you make an appointment?" "If you are too busy." "No. Come in. Come in. What is on your mind?" Douglas slowly entered the doctor's huge office and gently closed the door behind himself. After he closed the office door, he made his way to the big leather brown couch. When he reached the elaborate furniture piece, he sat down on it as the doctor walked over from behind the dark cherry wood desk over to a matching leather chair and sat down. "So, Officer Jerrod, how may I help you today?" "I don't know, Wayne. I have never done this before. I feel kind of weird. Okay, Doug, just tell me what your issue is. That is a good place to start. And don't worry about it so much. That is what is said within these walls stays within these walls. So feel free. Dr. Scott pulled out a pen from his right breast pocket, snatched up a notebook from the end table that sat next to him, clicked the pen to write, and placed the pen head to the paper in anticipation of taking notes on what Douglas had on his mind. While the doctor prepared himself, Douglas took in a deep breath before lying back on the smooth surface of the therapist's couch. He let out a big, aspirated breath as his head came to rest at the head of the leather soft sofa. He then looked to Dr. Scott with a look of unassurance before he began to speak about his little concern with himself. It is hard for me just to open up about what is inside my head. Well, to be more specific, about my feelings of myself. Doug, it is okay to speak freely in this room. You are safe. Alright, I guess it started around about my 31st birthday. I began to very briefly have a strange sense, like I wasn't in the moment with everyone. Okay, but not in the moment, what do you mean? It's like you can hear, see, and follow everyone and everything, but can't interact. You shut down and become an observer of your own life. And when you say briefly, about how briefly of a moment? It started at a few seconds here and there. After time went on, the moments turned into minutes. Which brings me to today. It happened, the sense. But this time, it controlled my actions. Dr. Scott wrote his quick shorthand down on the paper. He lifted the pen from the paper, clicked it, put the pad on the end table with the pen on top of it, and then leaned forward in his chair. He looked into Douglas's eyes and evaluated the pupil dilation of his new patient. He also observed the breathing of the subject while he still evaluated the eye movements. He concluded that the man was in a clear state of mind at the moment, but still he had to ask a random onslaught of questions. Officer Jerrod, are you taking any medications? No. Are you using any sleep aids? No. Are you using any illicit drugs or have a history of any drug abuse? No. I don't see the reason for these questions. It is just a medical history checklist. I have to ask everyone. I just have one more question and then we can get into the nitty-gritty part of my evaluation. Do you have any family history of mental illness? This last question caught Douglas off guard a little. He didn't want the doctor to think that he was just losing it like he heard about his grandfather. He paused for a second to ease his mind from the horrific thoughts that went through his mind before he answered. Just 'cause he was going to. He sat up on the couch with a look of determination on his face. Well,
my grandfather was institutionalized back in the 60s, but his mental problems were completely different than this. It is alright, officer. I don't think you are insane for having skeletons in your family closet. It is just another protocol question. There is no need to be defensive. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound offensive. Offended. I just haven't talked about my grandfather in a while.
No offense taken. Wayne sat back in his chair and pulled out his pocket watch. He pressed the button on the top of it and the watch opened. He looked at the watch face to see the time. 9:50. After observing the time, he closed up the silver pocket watch and put it back into his pocket before he looked back to Douglas on the couch. Now, I don't think you have any different problems than anyone else. It sounds like you are under a little stress, and to cope with that stress, your body is going into what I like to call autopilot. So you're saying I'm alright and this is a normal thing? Yes and no. If you have a little time, I think I have a procedure that might further explain the stress behind your periods of autopilot. I don't know, Doc, maybe. What time is it? About 10 o'clock. Alright, Wayne, if you think it will help, I have an hour before I need to go. What do you need me to do? I just need you to lie back and close your eyes. Douglas laid back down on the soft leather couch and closed his eyes as Dr. Scott suggested. While he laid there for a second, he began to think to himself, I hope the doctor knows what he is doing. Wait, of course the doctor knows. He wouldn't be a doctor if he didn't know, he assured himself as he sat inside the darkness of his mind. Now, I want you to open your mind and relax. Just focus on my voice and slip deep into your mind. As you listen to me, you feel a blanket flowing up over your toes and then up over your legs. Now the warm, comfortable blanket is up to your waist, and as it reaches your chest, you are completely calm and secure. Now the blanket, with its warmth and safety, has passed over your chest, up your neck, and over your head. As the blanket cocoons, fully encasing you, you feel a sense of safety, and your body is completely relaxed. Now, I am going to count to 3, and when I reach 3, you will be in a deep sleep. Dr. Scott went through the steps to hypnotism like a pro, speaking in a slow, monotone voice to calm and relax the patient. 1. He went on with the procedure while he evaluated himself. As the person drifted into a sleep-like trance. 2. And then fully submerged the individual with a mental cocoon to place them within their own subconscious mind. 3. He counted the last number and then quickly observed Douglas's relaxed, sleepy body. Now, Douglas, how do you feel? I am within my mind and I feel safe? Good. Now, can you see anything? The doctor snatched up his pen and paper from the end table to take notes on Douglas's interperspective view of his own mind. As the doctor readied himself to write down Douglas's mental voyage, he proudly thought to himself, the hypnotism worked brilliantly. The patient was transitioned from the conscious to the subconscious mind perfectly. Transition from the conscious to the subconscious mind perfectly. I see a white dark room. And what do you see in this dark white room before you? I see a man as he lies on the bed in the room. The doctor quickly jotted down the findings that Douglas reported to him. The man must be Douglas's interview of himself, a prisoner of his own thoughts, the shadow self inside the weary traveler of life. What is the man doing? He is just laying on the bed and staring at the ceiling of the room. He is emotionless and kind of looks like me. Wait, he is moving. How is he moving, and what is he doing now? He is turning his head and looking straight at me with bright blue eyes. He is saying something to me. What is he saying to you? He is saying, I was wondering when you were going to find me. He is asking me to come with him. As the doctor began to write the last thing that Douglas viewed through his mind's eye, Douglas began to convulse violently on the sofa. Dr. Scott haphazardly threw the pen and notepad to the floor. He leaned forward to grab onto Douglas. Right before he touched Douglas, he remembered that was the last thing you want to do to a hypnotized patient. Douglas, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. I don't feel safe anymore. Douglas, I'm going to count backwards from 3. 3. When I reach 1, you will wake from your slumber well rested and have no memory of this man. No, leave me alone. I don't want to go with you. Douglas. 3. You feel the blanket being lifted from your face and travel downward over your body. 2. You feel the blanket as it recedes over your chest and flows to your waist. No, leave me alone, Douglas. I am not going with you. 1. You feel the blanket pass your feet and you awake from your deep sleep. Wayne sat back in the doctor's chair as the convulsions that Douglas was having stopped instantly after the count of 1. He sat and observed Douglas's motionless body as it laid on the couch. While Douglas laid there, his mind started to race. That was the first time that happened to him. A patient has never freaked out like that before. He hoped that it didn't mess with Douglas and making his patient a comatose zombie. Douglas, are you still with me? Yes, Doc. Just waiting on you. Good. You can open your eyes now. Douglas instantly opened his eyes at the order that Dr. Scott gave him. As he sat up on the couch in front of the doctor, he noticed that he felt well rested and couldn't recall anything but Dr. Scott asking him to lie down and close his eyes. He looked to the doctor and wondered to himself, did the doctor find out what was bothering him? If Dr. Scott did, that was fast. So, Doc, what do you think? Do you still think I am still normal? I think you're as normal as the next guy. But I will still need to meet with you again. You do? I feel better now. Yes. I will make an appointment for next week for the same time. What about my work? You let me talk to your supervisors about the appointment. As for now, I think you can get back to work. But if you have the feeling of something or someone taking control of your body again, I want you to say to yourself that you are in control of your mind and your body, and that you're the one in control, okay? Okay, Doc. Hey, do you know what time it is? Dr. Scott pulled his pocket watch out of his pocket again. He opened it up to view the time for Douglas. He then closed it back up and put it back in his pocket. He leaned forward in his chair again. It is 10:50. Damn, I gotta go. But thanks for seeing me again. Douglas quickly stood up from the couch. As he stood, he noticed the pen and notepad on the floor. That wasn't there before. It must have been a crazy session. You might want to pick up the clutter. It doesn't suit you, Douglas jokingly remarked while he made a beeline for the office door. He quickly grabbed the doorknob as Dr. Scott stood up from his chair. After the doc picked up his notepad and pen, he opened the door. He turned and looked to the doctor before he rushed off. Till next week, Doc. Don't forget, you are the one in control. Dr. Scott strongly stated after Douglas as Douglas closed the door and quickly darted off. I hope he is alright for now, he thought while Douglas left, but I need to find out more on this grandfather of his. And that was chapter 3 of Douglas Jerrod. Remember, if you want more information, go to Douglas Jerrod and SamsonPWillings.com to get all the info that you need. Frank, out. Oh, P.S. All those YouTube things, I think you like this book. Thank you.